see the pictures from all over the world, and I get them constantly. Some areas are worse than others. The excuse for this is, number one, weather modification, number two, to save us from global warming, and number three, to save us from the terrorists. A lot of these programs, of which there are many patterns and which has been designated as wake vortex simulation carried out by NASA Langley Research Center, many of these operations and the patents go on to explain how if there is a biological attack by terrorists at some point, that these exercises and practices will, in a sense, save us with the spider webbery that comes down from the aerosol spraying, potentially gathering the chemical mass spray that could be sprayed on any given population. The problem with that is the terrorists don't have the means to deliver this. They don't have the access to deliver this over the American populace per se. And the only people who have been doing this, that is biological experiments on the American people, is the military themselves, which has been admitted from everything from Operation Shad to the spraying that happened in San Francisco, I believe back in the 60s and the 70s, that literally killed people.
Again, I may not be able to ascribe intent, but what I can say is that it is expected that there will be increased mortality as well as the potential of a huge host of unknown pathogens that we are subject to, and this is not based on speculation. There's a whole arena of biological research that we haven't even begun to touch on.
This image of a technocrat pulling the levers of weather control appeared on the cover of Collier's magazine in 1954. We were in a weather control race with the Soviet Union at the time, and an Air Force general had just announced to the press that the nation that controls the weather will control the world. The magazine article inside by President Eisenhower's weather advisor, Harold Orville, provided detailed ways of conducting weather warfare.
The first documented applications of weather warfare was during the Vietnam War, using very old-fashioned methods of cloud seeding to disrupt the supply routes of the Viet Cong.
As a result of the international uproar over Project Popeye, on the 10th of December 1976, the United Nations passed General Assembly Resolution 3172. It explicitly banned the use of weather modification in warfare. The weather wars were over, at least temporarily.
Now, the fact that there was an international agreement is an acknowledgement that the weapon systems actually exist. The US Air Force, in a document entitled Owning the Weather in 2025, states in no uncertain terms, in 2025, US aerospace forces can own the weather. Weather modification offers the warfighter a wide range of possible options to defeat or coerce an adversary. The intervention could be designed to modify the weather in a number of ways, such as influencing clouds and precipitation, storm intensity, climate, space, or fog. With few exceptions, they involve infusing either energy or chemicals into the meteorological process in the right way, at the right place and time. So we know that nuclear weapons exist. We are informed as to the destructive capabilities of nuclear weapons. But when the issue of environmental modification techniques is raised, public opinion is totally unaware that these weapon systems actually exist. They don't know that they exist. Okay, and they're not being discussed. They're not being discussed in the universities. They're not being discussed by the media, and the extent to which they can actually undermine human life on planet Earth is not addressed. We now have HAARP, and HAARP has the capabilities of modifying selectively weather patterns in different parts of the world, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and so on. Again, no actual evidence in the public domain of these techniques having been used against an enemy or either for defensive or offensive purposes.
No nation, however large or small, wealthy or poor, can escape the impact of climate change. Rising sea levels threaten every coastline. More powerful storms and floods threaten every continent. More frequent droughts and crop failures breed hunger and conflict in places where hunger and conflict already thrive. The security and stability of each nation and all peoples, our prosperity, our health, and our safety are in jeopardy.
Each time the climate change conferences meet, there is a refusal on the part of climate specialists and scientists to actually address the issue of climatic modification and the use of climate for military use.
We can discern that in the sample of air where we collected the 14 liters, there is a signal of barium, which is 10 times higher than the blank value. And we can clearly see a difference there. In the 14 liters of air, we detected 8 micrograms, which was in that filter. And if you calculate that, then you are approximately at 5 micrograms per cubic meter. What surely can be added is that the sample volume was quite small, with these 14 liters. And to confirm this result, which I think should be possible, we would need to take a bigger sample, to be at around 50 liters, and then chances are very good of confirming this result.
Finding barium despite such a small sample, even in this low concentration, surprised me, because barium does not naturally occur in this altitude.
They're using planes, they're using aluminum, and they're using barium. And it's time that we stand up and stop this experiment.
This is about our life. This is about the flora, the fauna. Everything on Earth is being affected. When are we going to wake up and actually understand that we are all one?
Please inform yourself about what is happening to our children and our future. This is your plan to...
All of those who don't believe, all of those who are critical of this issue, understand that there's a whole growing army of us out there, and we are attempting to warn the public.
Google chemtrails, Google geoengineering, Google stratospheric aerosol spraying, Google solar radiation management.
So let's save mankind. Let's save this planet before it is too late. This needs to stop.
I just want the blue sky back that we used to have in the past, and not such white skies like we have currently.
It's our sky, it's our sun, it pertains to everyone, you know what I mean? We need to be aware of this because it's death from above.
Hopefully we'll be able to raise awareness of the chemtrails just that little bit more.
And we are human race that requires the sun, requires the earth, requires water, and requires air for survival.
If those that have been called upon to respond to the need for investigation and inquiry and relief fail in their duty and obligation, then we as citizens must assume that role to the best of our ability, because we are stewards of this planet. We don't own this planet. We must care for this planet.